only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Ncbtmb webinar for today. The topic we're going to be discussing is our new approved provider program. For those of you who might be new to the webinars that we've done in the past, my name is Steve Kirin, and I'm the CEO here at Ncbtmb. I joined the company in 2011 as COO, and then was elevated to CEO a couple months ago. I'm with today my colleague in crime, Donna Sarvello, who's our VP of Education and Support, and I'll let Donna introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I started with NCB back in 2010, and I have worked in almost every department in this organization so far, but the approved providers are probably my favorite. So thank you.
Very happy to see today we have quite a few people that have signed up for the webinar. So we're going to try to make this intro quick so that we can get to the PowerPoint presentation that Donna wants to walk through at the outset, and then allow for the questions that will come at the end of the program. Just a quick some information. If you have specific questions about your account or your situation, we're always available through email at info@ncbtmb.org. You can just send us a quick note there and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also wanted you to know that we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, and you can also find us on YouTube. A copy of this webinar will be available within 24 hours on our website. And you can go and refer to it in case you might have missed something during the actual live version of this. I'm going to now hand it over to Donna to get started with the actual slide presentation, and then we'll be back to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do in this presentation is thank all of the people that helped us with this approved provider program. It was a tedious process. It took over a year. We did send out a call for comments. We did talk to the profession. We spoke to our peer organizations. But most importantly, we asked our approved providers to give us feedback, and many of you did, and many of you gave us the greatest feedback we could ask for. So thank you very much. Okay, and now to dive into the new program. So the new program overview and what we're going to talk about today. First, the purpose of continuing education. Next, the reasons for the program changes. And then information about the initial application, the renewal application, adding additional instructors, adding additional courses, and of course the last thing, the cost of the new program. Before we start, to find applications, I find that a lot of approved providers are going into the home page on the website and looking for the applications that they can just print out and submit to us. We don't currently have those. We may have those in the future. But for now, all applicants can find these applications under their profiles. If you're a new applicant, you're going to have to go to the home page and click Register at the top of the page and create a profile. And then once you complete that, under Complete a Form in your profile, you will find all of the applications that you need. Current approved providers will have to log in, and if you need a login, email ce@ncbtmb.org and give us your approved provider number, and we will send you your username and password. So you'll need a login, and then you'll do the same as the new providers. You'll log in at the top of the page, you'll go to Complete a Form, and you'll find all of the applications under Complete a Form. If you have questions after this, of course you can email us, but there is a lot of information on the home page under CE Provider. You just run your cursor over that CE Provider button, you'll find a lot of information that will answer your question. Okay, now let's get into the purpose of continuing education. The main thing is that it educates massage therapists. We graduate from anywhere from a 500 to a 1,000 hour program, and that is your entry-level core curriculum, the basic entry level that you need to practice legally within the profession. Our CE providers educate the profession on more advanced techniques and help them with past techniques to make sure that they keep their skills and build on new skills. So as it says, strengthens current skills, shows a commitment to the profession, increases awareness of other modalities because we only know what we've learned in that core curriculum unless we move on and learn different modalities from other providers, and it elevates our profession. We must continue to educate to be taken seriously by other medical professionals. Okay, and then the AP changes, the main changes that we did will allow us to gather data, review instructors under organizations because we currently didn't do that, or well, in the past we didn't do that, and we have been asked by states, by other providers, by other people, who is teaching under these other organizations and what are their credentials. So we're going to ask these providers under the organization umbrella about their current instructors. And then we're going to make sure that we provide quality for our profession. Okay, the initial application. Now, one thing that everybody has to keep in mind when they're filling out an initial application is that you must teach your course at least one time to 5 or more people or participants. Once you teach that course, gather information in the form of feedback forms. Ask them about information about your instruction, about your materials, about the information that you've given. When you get that, you'll gather all of that information and you'll submit it with your initial application. Ncbtmb also has an evaluation form that you are welcome to use on our website under CE Provider. Each applicant will submit instructor qualifications. The instructor qualifications can be in the form of a CV or resume. Organizations will have all of the instructors submit their qualifications under the Instructor Qualifications application that you can find under Complete a Form in your profile. This is, of course, absolutely free. We just want to make sure that we have information on our instructors. Course information. You'll have to submit the title, number of CEs, categories, and then the course description, learning outcomes, and objectives, and a course outline for each course that you submit. The end of the application, you will only have to check that you follow our administrative processes, which is very easy. Check that you will abide by our code of conduct. And then NCB is a sponsor to teach for New York LNGs. This is a special attribute to being an NCB approved provider. New York requires that all of its CE come from sponsors or people that sponsor approved providers. If you want to do this, you can. You'll just have to check it at the end of the application, and you'll have to fill out a little bit additional information that's found under CE Provider on the home page. Renewal applicants. The only difference between renewal applicants and initial applicants is that you have, I'm sorry about that brief pause, is that you already have current courses listed on your information or on the website. So for the current courses that are listed on the website, you will not have to submit all of the courses. All you'll have to do is submit a list of the current courses that you want to keep, the number of CEs that those are worth, and the category that you can find each person or each course under. And we have a list of categories, of course, on the home page. There is no charge for this. We just want to ensure that we keep our database up to snuff. The renewal application. I know previously we said that everybody would have to renew by the beginning of 2014. We are not doing this. You have to renew by your previous renewal date. So if you're due to renew in 2015, then you do not need to renew until that date. Okay, so then each renewal applicant will submit instructor qualifications, the same as the initial applicant. As I stated before, a list of current courses that you want to see kept on the NCB website. And then for new courses, you will have to submit the new courses on the new course submission form that's found on the NCB website. And we'll need a little bit of additional information because we get asked information about these courses, and we have to be able to supply it to, like I said before, states, people who want to take your courses, and then other approved providers that are also looking for courses. And just as the initial applications, you'll just have to check that you will follow the administrative processes, abide by the code of conduct, and check whether or not you would like to be sponsored to teach in New York or remain teaching in New York. We have many people that are sponsored to do this currently. Okay, adding additional instructors. All instructors under organizations must submit their qualifications to teach under the organization profile, or under the organization's profile, I'm sorry. And this can be done by CV or resume. Within this document, you will be asked which courses you teach, and we will compare your qualifications to teach and make sure that you have some qualifications to teach the courses that you state you're teaching. There is no cost to doing this. Now, adding additional courses. Each new course must be submitted prior to teaching the course using the interim course submission form within the provider's profile. Segmentations of existing courses may be submitted via ce@ncbtmb.org by supplying your approved provider number, the name of the course, number of CEs, and category of the course. Now, when you're submitting a segmented course, there is no additional cost. But what we do ask is that you list the course that this is segmented under. So if you teach a 48-hour myofascial course and you want to segregate the limbs from the core, then you would just list it as this is under my myofascial class, this is the course that I'm teaching, it's segmenting the arms, and here is the core of the course. And we're segmenting the core. Adding additional courses to trade shows. But now we have separated trade shows from adding individual courses. And the reason why is because when people hold a trade show or a convention, they have multiple courses. They have multiple 1 to 5 to 8 hour courses. And some trade shows or some conventions can hold up to about 40 to 60 courses. We didn't find it necessary to ask for all of the additional information, and especially because most of our main trade shows and conventions already have approved providers teaching for them. So what we would like in the future is a copy of your marketing material listing the approved providers that are teaching for your trade show, listing the non-approved providers that are teaching, and then we would like you to have the non-approved providers fill out the Instructor Qualifications form just to let us know who's teaching in trade shows, because often we get questions back from different entities asking whether or not a specific instructor had taught at a trade show and what they had taught. And NCB in the past had no way of answering this. So when you have, when you're preparing your trade show, and a trade show consists of 4 or more instructors teaching 4 or more courses. So if you're holding a 1-weekend class and you're just holding 2 courses, and there's 2 brand new courses that you've never taught before, then you'll submit them on the interim course submission form, and that will be a separate. That is not a trade show. But if you're holding a trade show or convention that has 4 or more courses in it, you will submit this form. Okay, let's move on to the cost. Okay, so now the new costs for the Approved Provider Program are individuals are $225 for a 3-year period. Approved Provider Organizations are $450 for a 3-year period. New course submissions are a one-time $25 submission, one time. So you can teach the course for the rest of your life. For us to review it, it will cost you $25 to submit a new course. Now, also keep in mind, this is not a segmented course of your current courses. This is a brand new, something that you've never taught before. So if all of your courses are, say, energy work, and you're submitting a trigger point therapy course, you're going to submit a new course submission form. Convention and trade shows. As stated before, a convention or trade show consists of 4 or more instructors, and that will be a $100 fee for submission one time. So if you are a trade show that holds 3 trade shows per year, then that cost would be $100 per trade show, so we can evaluate who's teaching in your trade show, ensure that the courses that are being taught are within the scope of practice, and then we have listed every new instructor, every course that you're teaching. And then New Year's sponsorship is $25 every 3 years. Now, I realize that some prices have gone up. There is a slight increase, and we are charging for new courses, and we are charging for trade shows, and now we are charging a $25 for New Year's sponsorship. But this is because in order to elevate our standards, we have a lot more work to do within this program. This isn't just NCB saying, oh, we're going to make a lot of money off of this. This is us taking the money that you provide us and transforming it into other employees and upgrades to our program. So this is not, just to be clear, this is not NCB trying to steal from the approved providers out in the field. And then for any additional information about the approved provider program, please visit Ncbtmb.org and run your cursor over CE provider. There are many documents under there that will help you.
Well, good. Thank you, Donna. It's a lot of information, and we just want to make sure that everybody knows that the webinar playback will be available starting tomorrow on the website. So in case you might have missed some information along the way, you can review it at your leisure by just going to the website and finding the webinar playback for this one. And there'll also be some tweet and follow up this webinar on Twitter using hashtag Ncbtmb live. We're gonna try to move now into the questions that have been submitted here, and I'm going to read them off to you, Donna, and you can then answer them for everybody. We'll try to capture the most common questions. We did receive quite a few, so we're going to try to hit on the most common ones that we have here. This question came in from Jennifer, and it's, what is required to maintain the current status of an approved provider?
When you renew, as all of the directions are in the PowerPoint, and you're more than welcome to use that in the future. But if you're a current approved provider, you're going to want to email ce@ncbtmb.org with your approved provider number and request your username and password. Once you do that, you'll log in, you'll review your personal information, click that you're verifying that your personal information is correct, and then you'll go to complete the form on the left-hand side and fill out the renewal form. Now, as stated before, we are going to have you list all of your current courses with the number of CE and the category that they fall under, and we'll just verify that those courses are on the website and that we have all the information that we need, and that the courses are within the massage therapy scope of practice. And then once you do that, if you have new courses to add, then you'll just, everything is within the renewal application, and you can add all of your new courses. If you're an organization and you'd like to add new instructors, you can do that within your profile in the Instructor Qualifications documentation.
Perfect. This next question came in from Dina, and is, are Ncbtmb approved classes automatically accepted in all states?
No. States are a different entity than Ncbtmb. You would have to check with different states. Some states verify their own courses. Some states say that if a course is approved by Ncbtmb, then they'll accept it. And some states don't have any CE requirements. So whenever you go to a different state, I tell all of my approved providers, call the state, let them know you're an approved provider. They might ask you what you teach. They might verify it on our website, and then just ask them what you need to do.
Great. Melissa is asking, can colleges be approved organizations under the new CE provider program?
Yes, and I would love colleges to become approved provider organizations. Colleges have our instructors who have taught for many years and have a plethora of information to share with the rest of the profession. Please let all colleges know that we would love to have them.
Deborah has a question about her expiration date. My approval doesn't expire until 2015. Is this now rescinded?
No. Your new or your approval period is your expiration date. So you can wait till the date. I would suggest that you renew probably like a month early just so we can make sure that everything is in on time. Just to let everybody know also, if you submit information and we need additional information, we don't go and just deny you. We will ask you for additional information. And then we'll add that to your profile and to your coursework, and we'll work with you.
Great. Jennifer is asking, can any massage therapist teach CEU classes?
Any massage therapist that has the qualifications to teach can teach CE classes. You'll want to make sure that you've taken the courses. You'll want to make sure if you're teaching a course, let's take Thai massage, and you want to teach Thai. You'll want to at least be a level higher than what you're teaching. And in many cases, in most modalities, you'll want to make sure that you're a level higher. Now, what I didn't mention on this PowerPoint is that one of the main things that we're going to be doing in the future is auditing. And auditing will consist of having the approved providers request evaluations from their students and submit them to NCB. We want to know how you're teaching and what your students think of you. Now, if we see audits come back that are wonderful and the instructor is doing a great job, we're still going to hold those random audits and the instructor may get re-audited in the future. If we see that an instructor isn't following the information that is said to be, that he or she has submitted or said that he or she is going to follow, then we're going to do a full audit. And if we find that the provider just isn't doing what they said they're going to do, we may have to either suspend them or revoke them or report them or do something, but we can't have people out there teaching, number one, if they're not qualified to teach these courses, and number two, if they're not teaching what they say they're going to be teaching.
Great answer. Catherine wants to know how long it will take to find out if your application is accepted or not.
It takes approximately 4 weeks.
Okay. This is a great question from Summer. Do I need to have my Ncbtmb certification current to be an approved provider?
Though we would appreciate you to have it current because that shows more credentials and stronger standards, you do not have to be an approved provider. And one of the reasons why is that we have modalities that are being taught out there that are more energy-based, or people don't have to become massage therapists to teach them. We have business courses out there that are taught. We can't require that every single person that's teaching continuing education for us is currently certified. But if you are a massage therapist and you are teaching modalities that are within, or that are massage therapy, then I would suggest that you become certified. Okay.
Great. A lot of questions regarding the current expiration date. So this is from Peggy. My current approved provider expires on 10/14. When are these new forms due?
They are currently on the website. If they're due on 10/14, then I would suggest that you begin the process, say, in September of next year, just to give yourself time in case you have to email or call in for any additional information or to get your information together. Because sometimes when we've been an approved provider for a while, we know how we're teaching. We don't necessarily have everything at our fingertips at that time.
Great. Shelley's asking a good question, Donna. What if it's a self-paced online course without an instructor?
Those home study courses are a little bit different. We do have some guidelines on our website that home studies will have to abide by. There are specific, we have a minimum amount of, or a length of course per CE now, just to ensure that people are getting what they say or what the provider says they're getting. And also, we will be auditing home study to ensure that it is furthering the massage therapist education. There are some home studies out there that I've personally taken that were basic core curriculum, and they didn't further my education. We want to ensure that those courses, though they are useful, but they are not necessarily continuing education for certification. So we will be auditing those to ensure that they are within, or they elevate the profession as our standard state.
This question comes from Bryce, and it's kind of a long one, so I hope I won't confuse it here. I purposely keep my class size to a maximum of 3 or 4 to allow for best practice and individualized attention. Does this mean I cannot apply since I won't be teaching my classes to 5 or more people at a time?
No, you don't have to. For the first time, you don't have to teach to, that is misleading. You don't have to teach to 5 or more in one class. But if you hold 2 classes, we just want you to get at least 5 evaluations from your students. Sometimes, well, evaluations are excellent feedback. They tell us what the students think of us. They tell us what the students think of our material, and they help us improve. So we want to just make sure and ensure we get this feedback from our students. So to answer your question, teach the course twice, get your feedback, and submit at least 5 or more.
Good question. There's a few questions on pricing, so I want to make sure we hit on that. This is from Kathy Lee, do individual providers pay a $25 fee to apply, then $25 for each course they submit, or only if they add to their list after they are approved?
So this is individual. No, an individual is paying the $225 to apply for the application review, and then it will be $25 for each new course. Now, keep in mind, people, when they submit courses, they think, as I stated before, if you have a trigger point therapy course and it's segmented into 6 different courses, they think that that is 6 different courses. That is actually one title. And then so you would have your trigger point course for the full body, and then you would have your segmentations under it, and the segmentations are free of charge. So yes, to answer your question, the initial application is $225, and then each additional new course is $25.
Will a board certification have any effect on becoming an approved provider? You kind of touched on this earlier, but we're getting a lot of questions about that.
We do look highly on board certification. One of the questions for the qualifications to teach does ask about additional credentials, and board certification is one of them. We know that our board certificate stands for higher values, and they want to see our profession move forward. So it's the board certification plus the education and any work experience that you've had in the profession. And I understand, we all understand, or the board and I understand, that sometimes work experience is as important as education, because sometimes people work with some of our best providers and learn that way. So we'll be looking at everything involved.
Great. Melanie is asking, how many years do you need to be an LMT prior to becoming an instructor?
Well, that really depends on the course that you want to teach. So some courses, they teach you the full course, and then they have a teacher training program at the end to teach you how to instruct that course. Within the course, they have you practice so many times or so many months or even so many years, but there is no definite time frame to become an approved provider, because within the massage therapy realm, there are so many different modalities that everything takes a different amount of time to learn. Now, if you went to core curriculum and you had a 1,000-hour program, and then you went and it was structured more around, say, manual manipulation in some form, whether it be myofascial, trigger point, or any of that, you might have a deeper understanding than someone that graduated from a program that only had 500 hours, but maybe is practicing 3 years. So it all depends on your background and what you have in your background.
Perfect. This question is coming in from Kay, and she would like to know if you would, again, explain the difference between an individual provider and an organizational.
An individual provider is one person. So if you have one instructor teaching or one instructor teaching period, that's an individual. An organization consists of 2 or more instructors that actually teach courses under that organization. So in the past, we had, it stated that if you had a secretary working for you, you were an organization. If you had a teaching assistant working for you because your classes were larger, that you were an organization. Now we're stating an individual is one instructor for that entity. An organization is 2 or more instructors that teach the material on their own under that organization.
Great. Rosemary is asking, can the 5 feedbacks be from different courses, or do you need 5 per course?
For the initial application, we need 5 for the first course. 5 for, because we need to see how you're teaching in that course. So it is 5 per course. And you don't have to. In the past, we had you create your own instructor evaluations. You don't have to do that. We've done it for you. You can go to our homepage, run your cursor over CE Provider, and you'll see the instructor feedback forms. You're more than welcome to use those.
Great. This question is coming from Pilar. I hope I pronounced that correctly. What if the class I have been teaching for a school is one I have developed and created on my own? Can that class be approved for myself if I want to be a CE provider?
That is fine, but what I would suggest is that you work everything out with the school, because sometimes when you create something underneath a school entity, the school then owns that material. So that's more, if the school says that's fine and you're working within their guidelines also, then absolutely, but make sure you work everything out with them first.
Okay. This comes from Stephanie. If an individual wanted to add another person and become an organization, would they need to totally reapply and pay an additional $450?
No, when you come to upgrade or when you renew, there is a box that asks you to upgrade. Now, if it's within, if you're within 2 years, if it's within 2 years after you've completed the initial application, so you have 1 more year before you have to complete the renewal application, we will prorate it and just charge you the additional fee to review all of the information. So you can upgrade now and you can get prorated the additional money, or you can wait until your renewal application and then just upgrade during your renewal.
Good. This next question comes from Micah, and she's asking, can you tell me where to find the online CE provider information via the website?
Go to the Ncbtmb.org homepage, and then on the left-hand side, you'll see CE provider in a big box. Just run your cursor over that, and you'll see about 15 to 20 links. That is all the information on CE providers that has to do with this program or New York sponsorship. And once you click on one of those, you will be able to read all of the new information. And also, you'll see a link, it's called Tools, and that's where you'll find the instructor evaluations, the categories for courses, and we've created certificates that you can use. You can change them as much as you want. It's just a base to start from. We've created a base transcript that you can use, or you can change around as much as you want. It just has the information that you'll want to add to yours.
This next question is from Chris. Is it true that the current ethics requirement will no longer be required? I ask since I have an approved CE class for ethics and want to know if it will continue to be a viable class.
Chris, I'm glad you asked that question because ethics was originally removed from our requirements, but it is now back. The board came back to the table and realized that they had to require some form of ethics because, well, we are the Ethics and Standards Board, and so now we've gone down with our board approved, or with our board certification. Once somebody's already a board certified and they're renewing into board certification for a second time, there will be a 3-hour ethics requirement within that, and there will also be a 3-hour research requirement within that. So yes, please continue teaching your ethics.
This is a good question for clarification. It comes from Carmen. Does NCB monitor or approve the cost of a CE course?
Does NCB monitor?
So I take that as, are we watching how much CE courses cost?
Oh, to the public.
That's how I read that.
Okay, so I want to reiterate to make sure that I understand the question and that I answer it correctly. And what this question is asking is whether NCB monitors the approved providers to ensure that they are charging the amount that they should be. They're not overcharging and they're not undercharging. And the answer to that is no. We do not monitor and we do not police what approved providers charge. What happens is the profession kind of monitors and polices what the approved providers charge. So if you're overcharging for a class, you'll know it because people probably won't purchase your class. And if you're undercharging, well, some people, depending on the course and the quality, I have found that some of the cheaper classes get more complaints than the classes that are being charged according to their material and to their strength. So the profession pretty much does police that by purchasing or not purchasing your courses.
This question comes from Jean. My renewal is not till June 2016. Am I okay to wait that long to renew? This should give me time to understand all the changes for renewal.
Yes, Jane. You can definitely wait until your renewal date. And yeah, if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact us. But I would think that that would be enough time. And everybody else out there, you can wait until your original renewal date to renew. You do not have to renew early. But what I would suggest is 1 month prior to your renewal date, or even 2 or 3, depending on how you feel, I would renew then. But you don't have to get it done this year.
This is a follow-up question regarding the ethics. It's from Jeanette. Are you saying that an ethics course is required for CE classes or as a part of Ncbtmb certification?
Ethics courses are required for certification. So once our approved providers teach the courses that our certificants must take to recertify their board certification. So once somebody is in the board certification, which is the higher credential, and they're renewing into board certification a second, third, fourth, or however many times, they will be required to take 3 CEs of ethics from an Ncbtmb approved provider. How is that?
I like it. I have about 10 questions here, and it's a very common question for us. But they're asking what constitutes a research CE course?
We are looking for, it's more research literacy and a class that teaches people how to find legitimate research, how to evaluate research, how to know that research is legitimate, decipher between bad sources, excellent sources. And what I do is I send a lot of people to the Massage Therapy Foundation to take their course that's listed on their homepage. It's an excellent research course. It gives everybody the information on what we're looking for. And then in the future, when people become more experts on the research literacy and the research information, then I invite you to write your own courses, definitely. But we have to make sure that we're not just having our participants or students read a course and then write a paper. That's not what we're looking for. In the past, we have found that much of our information that was given to us, say 15, 20 years ago, is being disproven at this point. So what we're looking for is to teach people how to look at the information that was given to us and how to decipher whether it was legitimate or illegitimate information and how to move our profession forward. Every medical profession does and works with tons and tons of research to ensure that the information they give the public is accurate. We as massage therapists, to be taken seriously, must absolutely do the same. So again, I invite everyone to visit the Massage Therapy Foundation's website for their research class. It's excellent.
Great. I have a couple of detailed questions, which I'm going to read off. This is from Melissa, and it says, if a college has an instructor teaching a CE who has already had their class approved by NCB on their own as an individual, does the college have to also pay the fee to have the class approved?
No. If you have an approved provider that teaches for your college and they're holding their own courses at your college, they would do it just as they would anywhere else. They would hold the course. I mean, you and the college or the approved provider and the college can market the course however you want, but this is the actual approved provider course, and they would have to give out the continuing education certificates, and they would have to keep all of the students' information, the attendance information on file in case they were audited and we needed that information. So it's absolutely fine to just hire approved providers. It helps them. It's also fine for the college to become an approved provider and umbrella their instructors under it as long as we have their qualifications to teach.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Here's a question from Carmen. And is it okay with Ncbtmb for providers to create an ethics course using the Ncbtmb ethics information on the website, or is that information on the website proprietary?
We allow our approved providers to use our information as long as it's documented correctly and as long as you cite your information according to where you received it. So, and this happens, and this is a strong point that I want to bring up to everybody. Please ensure that if you're using other people's material, that you are citing your sources. Do not steal the other information, because the people that you're taking it from did a lot of work to get where they are and did a lot of work to create the books that they did. So anytime you take any information from anybody, cite it correctly. Give everybody their own kudos.
Great. I think this is a good question from Chris. To maintain board certification, is it required that all required CE classes are by a board-approved CE provider? I ask this so I am clearly and ethically marketing my CE offerings.
Currently, it does state that on our website that we will only accept, now, let me finish that thought, that we will only accept continuing education from board or from Ncbtmb approved providers. Now, that means that when somebody already renews into board certification, the period past the first renewal and on, we want to see that the courses that our certificants are taking are from approved providers or Ncbtmb approved providers. There have been talks with our board members about courses that are from major colleges and universities that will elevate our profession even higher. We are still talking about that, and I don't have further information about that, but currently right now, when you're board certified and recertifying into board certification for second, third, fourth, fifth, however many times, we will only accept CE from an approved provider.
Great. This question is from Kay, and it sort of touches, I'll read the question that she is asking, but it touches on the topic of when and how should I submit information, okay? So she's asking, she's created a manual for her course, and she's finished with the entire manual except for pictures she wants to add to it at a later time. Can she submit that manual for approval without the pictures, add them later, or does she have to submit it all at one time when it's all completed?
No, Kate, you can submit that now. It depends. If you can teach it the way it is now, you can submit it now if you're ready to go, as long as at least 5 or more people have taken this course. Now, you want to make sure that you get that feedback from the professionals or the participants that are taking your course to ensure the quality of the course. But if it's just pictures, you're welcome to submit that information now.
This question is from Andrea. How long do I need to keep attendance, reviews, and other class material for NCB's evaluation?
First, I'd like everybody to notice that Steve tried to have an accent on that name. And then we expect you to keep the information for at least 5 years. Longer is great, but 5 years is a requirement. There are people that do come back after 7, 8, 9 years and request their information, their certificates or their transcripts from time past that. And it's really not difficult any longer to keep information. I mean, we all have computers. We can all keep a little Excel spreadsheet stating that who sat in one class or who sat and who completed your different courses and information like that. But 5 years is a requirement.
This is a question from Lindsay. Do all participants providing feedback when you submit your initial course need to be licensed massage therapists?
Lindsay, that all depends on what you're teaching. So if you're teaching massage modality, then I would say yes. And depending on what state you're in also. So if you're teaching, different people teach in different states, and different states have different requirements. You may not find a licensed massage therapist in some states. But back to the first part, if you're teaching something that is directly massage therapy, then I would say yes. If you're teaching an ethics course, a business course, or something that other professionals can take, as long as they can understand the material and give you great feedback, then you can have them sit in your course. I would not, however, suggest having your best friend sit in your course unless you know that they will give you honest feedback and not just tell you that everything's great. So you want honest feedback. Okay.
Great. Again, there was a question regarding the pricing from Judith. Could you go over that pricing sheet again, just to make sure everybody understands what it is that are going to be required as far as payment goes?
Individual approved providers will be, the cost will be $225 every 3 years. Organizations will be $450 every 3 years. New course submissions will be $25, a one-time fee for each brand new course. Conference and trade show submissions will be $100 for every conference or trade show submission. And then New York sponsorship will be $25 for every 3 years or until you renew your approved providership. And then there are no charges to submit instructor's qualifications under organizations.
Great, thanks. This question comes from Kim, and she's asking, can I teach an entire course using a book written from someone other than myself?
That, again, I tell all my approved providers that I've ever spoken to that do this, is to get the author's permission. Let them know what you're doing, and of course, you have to give, you have to cite all sources. So if you are teaching a live course and you're using an ethics instructor or somebody who's written ethics books, I would just call them up. All of our authors are very personable, or send them an email, and they'll let you know what they expect, or they'll let you know how they feel about that. But that's actually a legal situation between you and the person who's written the book. Schools that use different authors' books work directly with the publisher and the author to get permission to do that. So you want to make sure that you do the same thing.
That was good information there. This next question comes from Kathy, and she's asking, we are an approved organization. When we renew, we only submit courses not already approved, correct?
Yes, so when you renew, you will submit the information on the courses that are not currently approved. But on the renewal application, you'll be asked to list all of the current courses that you want to remain current on our website with the number of CEs and the categories they fall under. We want to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information on our website, and we also want to ensure, to be honest, there are some courses that have made their way onto our website that probably aren't within the massage therapy scope of practice. And under this new program, we will be asking those providers, if we do have providers that teach something that's not within the scope of practice but also teach other modalities that are within the scope of practice, we're going to let them know that we will be removing the ones that aren't within the scope of practice. And then in the future, we will only be accepting the courses that are listed on the NCB website, and we'll only be verifying to state the courses that are listed on the NCB website and the courses that we have information under. So the new courses, you'll have to list the detailed course description, learning outcomes, learning objectives, course outline. And then current courses, you'll just list the name of the course, number of CEs, and the category they fall under, and there'll be no charge to list your current courses.
You have, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you've answered close to 50 questions already. How are you feeling?
I have a little cold, but I'm okay.
Awesome. We just have a time for a couple more, and then we'll wrap up this session. This comes from Rodney. If you have to have feedback from 5 attendees in the approval process, do you need to be approved before you can teach those 5 people, or am I misunderstanding this requirement?
Oh, no, Rodney. Okay, so you'll teach the course once before you're an approved provider, and then you'll let the participants know that you're submitting this information to become an approved provider, and that once you do, you can give them a certificate once they complete the course. It just won't be NCB approved. Once it is NCB approved, you can go back and give retroactive CEs with your approval. So your participants will get a certificate. You will be able to list that you were NCB approved, and we will accept those CEs that you taught prior to becoming approved. And that retroactive date is 1 year prior. So if you taught something 9 months prior to submitting your application, we'll accept it up to 1 year prior to submitting the application.
Great. This is from Amanda, how often do you require each approved class to be taught within the 3-year period before renewal?
There is no requirement. You can teach it as often as you'd like or as few times as you'd like. You've already proven once you submit it that you have the qualifications to teach and that this course is of quality. So we have no requirements on that. And, you know, Steve, just I didn't clarify something when I was doing the PowerPoint. And just so everybody knows, this program will be evolving. We will be looking at different types of courses. We may even be looking at scientifically based courses and maybe separating those from other courses just to let people know what they're purchasing and what they're sitting in for. So like I say, everything that we're doing, as with any profession, we are going to continue to evolve, continue to strengthen our programs, and continue to move forward within this profession.
Great. I'm glad you added that in there. We have one more question for you. It's from Nathan. And the question is, I believe you said that there is a way to have all classes at a professional conference count as CEUs. Is this correct? If so, would you mind reviewing the procedure again for this?
Okay, so in different conferences, we could take AMTA chapter or AMTA National. They hold a huge conference. The smaller chapters, sometimes they bring in people that are experts in different areas that aren't necessarily approved under NCB's approval, but are teaching within the massage therapy scope of practice. So what you'll do is either submit your marketing material or list the instructors with the courses and let us know who's already an approved provider and who's a non-approved provider. All of the approved providers that are teaching for the conference will accept and we'll look them up to make sure that they really are approved providers. All the non-approved providers, we will ask you to have them go in and complete the qualifications to teach worksheet just so we have them on file in case we're asked about them. And then we'll make sure we'll have you list the course that they're teaching next to them. If we need any additional information, we will definitely contact you and ask you. But yes, so for conferences, just list either the marketing material and who is and who isn't an approved provider, or even on an Excel spreadsheet, you can tell us who's teaching in your conference, list the course, and list who is and who isn't an approved provider. This is all, everything we're doing is to gather information to improve the profession in the future.
Can you take one more?
Of course I can.
Awesome.
I love my approved providers.
I have a question from Linda, who has sent in the question a couple times and said, I didn't get my question answered. And so I want to answer Linda's question for her. We're trying to get to as many as we can. So the question is, we have an online homework component in our certification in clinical aromatherapy program. Can I get CE approval for these hours?
For the homework? And she said that the whole course was online?
We have an online homework component in our certification in clinical aromatherapy.
It depends. Now, when you're teaching a live course and somebody sits in your course for 100% of the time, you give a certificate of completion. Excuse me. When home study, you have to have a test with at least 5 questions per CE that you give, and then you give a certificate of achievement. In the past, we were having difficulty because some live courses stated that they had home study, but in our directions, it did state that live courses had to be 100% live. So to answer your question, I think we would have to review your information separately because as we evolve, we understand that everything isn't like it was back in 2000. We don't have strictly live courses and we don't have strictly home study courses. So some are a hybrid. you take information home, you study it, and then sometimes people go to class and they learn in class and then they review and they practice in class. So I would have to say that depending on the homework and depending on what you're giving them, it would be a guess that you could submit both and get credit for both the live and the home study portion. But like I said, please submit it and let us know. And we will definitely take it.
Good. I think that's gonna wrap up today's session, Donna. We want you to know again that the webinar will be available online on our website starting tomorrow, and you can play back the webinar and take down notes or just review it in case you might have missed something or we went a little bit too fast. We also want you to know that we're going to have an open Q&A webinar on October 24th, where we're just going to be taking questions on any one of the subjects, anything that has to do with NCB and its product line, on the 24th of October from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock again, Central Time. So that's the 24th of October, open Q&A. We hope you find these webinars helpful. We thank you so much for all the questions that we got in today. Tried to answer as many as we can. If you have any questions at all, or if your question wasn't answered, please feel free to contact us at info@ncbtmb.org. Thank you again for participating today, and we hope to see you on the next webinar.